Hey guys, so I had to make a part two because the video was way too long and I felt like this was a good place to split it in half anyway. So with that, I'm just gonna continue. January 12th, I found out I was pregnant, and the first thing I did was take a video and I sent it to him.
Gavin, bro, I'm fucking pregnant. Bro, no fucking, this is not happening. There's two.
So at this point, there wasn't even really like a doubt in my mind of whose kid it was because I immediately was like sending videos to the person that I thought was her dad, but he had told somebody that it might have been his kid, which I didn't say that. I didn't even think that. And then all of a sudden, everybody's talking shit about me, saying that I'm a slut and all this shit because I didn't know whose kid it was. But I didn't even say that. I don't even know, like, who came up with that. Like, I guess he must have been worried about it or something. I wasn't. Only reason those dates were so close was because I was single for 2 months. He was with that girl, the 15-year-old girl, for 2 months. And I was talking to that guy again. And then all of a sudden, literally 2 days after I saw that guy, he hit me up again and said he wanted to get back together. So that's why it was so close together. Later on, when the baby was born, I ended up getting a paternity test, and it was not his kid, so I was right in the first place. We had a no contact order again, and I was pregnant with this baby. And he's still doing all the things that he was doing. He's out doing drugs, out partying with people, just with shit people. It was always me, him, and Instagram, and me, him, and these girls. And it's like, I don't want these people involved in my life. I don't want these people involved in my shit. But he's like the middle of the drama all the time. In February of 2018, I was like a month pregnant maybe. I had just gotten my brand new car. I picked him up and we were eating, having like a normal fucking dinner. And then I guess I made the mistake of telling him that I signed up for this thing to go sing somewhere. And he started freaking the fuck out and telling me that I can't do that because I'm gonna hurt the baby, I'm gonna kill the baby, and I'm so fucking selfish, and all this crazy shit, screaming in the middle of the restaurant. And he grabs my phone, takes it, and throws it across the entire restaurant. Everybody in there staring at us. And he gets up and leaves, and everybody's just staring at me. And so I was thinking that he was gonna go outside and destroy my brand new car because he always destroyed my car. He actually, for some reason, didn't. And I saw him standing on the side of the building. I went in my car and I left him there. And I went home and I cried, and my family was over, and like everybody was like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" Like, so I got my job back again because I got a car. He started picking me up from work and we would go do stuff. Instead of picking me up after work and bringing me home because I'm pregnant as shit, he would pick me up and bring me with him wherever he was going, like to hang out with people all the time and like to do stupid shit. I would just sit in his car, I would lean the seat back, and I would sleep in the passenger seat. He would park the car and go hang out with people, and I would be sleeping in the passenger seat everywhere we went. And sometimes he would make me come with him, and like he would take me into like drug houses and shit sometimes, and like he wouldn't buy me food. He wouldn't even feel the baby kicking. He told me I was crazy because at 4 months I was feeling the baby. He told me that I was crazy and the baby wasn't actually kicking. I was just making it up. He refused to feel my stomach. He refused to pick out names for the baby. So much shit all the time. Like, I just wanted to go home and relax, and he was like, "Nah, we can't do that." During this time when he would consistently take me out everywhere and bring me places I didn't want to go, he would randomly, out of nowhere, we wouldn't even be talking, wouldn't be fighting, it would be silent in the car. He would say some slick shit to me, and if I answered, I would get in trouble, and if I didn't answer, I would get in trouble. And he would get mad at me and start talking shit to me and tell me to get the fuck out of the car. So then, wherever we were, I would get the fuck out of the car. Sometimes he would leave me there for hours and I would have to walk wherever. Or sometimes he would come find me again, like right away after I fucking walk away, come pick me up and tell me that I'm not allowed to get out of the car, even if he says to get out of the car, because I'm not allowed to have other people come get me. And there were times that I posted it on Instagram when he left me on the side of the road, and I would put like part whatever, like however many times I had been left. And then on his Instagram, he would post on his story, "Whoever picks Kayla up is gonna get shot." So then, like, I was just stranded, could not go anywhere. I was pregnant. He literally left me miles away from my house, from literally anything, actually. I don't know if anyone knows where US 1 is, but like US 1 right past Nova a little bit where it's all woods. I was left there and I had to walk all the way to Granada, all the way across the bridge at nighttime while I was 6 months pregnant in my sandals to get back to my car by TGI Fridays. And like, I literally got left on the side of the road. I cannot even tell you how many fucking times. In front of people too. There were other people in the car and they would witness that shit and be like, dude, that's so fucked up. And I'll be like, all right, well then why didn't you help me? And it's because those people that he had us around were never our fucking friends. So my problem basically was that I wanted it to just be me and him as a family with the baby. But what I didn't realize was all of these people that I've been trying to kick out of both of our lives were now involved in my pregnancy and able to say things about me and my pregnancy because he was allowing them to. And I kept trying to get him to stay away. And no matter what I did, he would not step up. He would never step up. And that was the problem. And I was too stupid to see it. His ex-girlfriend was so obsessed that she tried to jump him and steal his phone, and according to him, he dropped her on her head. She started texting him and texting me, sending us like this video off of YouTube. It was Mariah Carey's song Obsessed, and she was claiming that him and I were just so obsessed with her. She was just stalking us for the longest time, and then eventually I was just ignoring it for a while, but then I posted pictures of my ultrasounds at 3 months. She found the pictures on mine and his Instagram, and she screenshotted it and sent the pictures to his mother and said that if he doesn't stay away from me, that she's gonna send him to jail for hurting her the day that he dropped her on her head. If that's not obsessive, I don't know what is. Eventually, his mom brought it up to him, and they started talking about it. And he clearly was not happy that she knew. He wanted her to have nothing to do with it. And she was being crazy and saying that she was going to see the kid regardless and that she was going to fight for grandparent rights and just stupid shit. So here's the moment everybody's been waiting for. Everybody who wants to say shit about me, everybody who wants to say that I'm a horrible fucking person and I'm toxic and I do all of these things, I have it in text message from their side about the things that were happening and about them knowing that he was being abusive to me and that they know that I was not fucking doing anything, that I was defending myself, which is really what was happening the entire relationship. So his mom says, "You both feel dumb now because Kayla wrote me novels about your abuse, fetishes, and rape while you were away, and now she can't face me without looking like a dumb cunt." Whose mom talks about their daughter-in-law like that, first of all? She said she didn't want me to be around her kid. It's because she feels dumb after all the secrets she told me about you. She knew about the abuse and she just admitted it right there. And I have other text messages where she admits it, and I'm also going to put that up. She knew that he was hitting me. I told her years before that he was throwing me against the walls, and that's why she told me that I couldn't come back, that I had to leave, and that I was the problem. For whatever reason, I'm somehow the problem, even though her son is the one being abusive. All right, and now for the next text message, which is between him and his mom, and she's trying to blame me for something that I didn't do. So he says, "Kayla is not doing anything wrong. You are dumb as a box of rocks. She isn't and never was an issue. Everything she did was back at me for something that I did first. She doesn't lay on her back and let herself get abused like his ex-girlfriend or anyone else. She never had anyone help tell her stuff. Everyone's just mad because after all the fighting back that she has done to me, I still stay with her, and I left all of them for no reason because they were boring." And that right there sums up the entire situation. What makes me absolutely crazy is that, like, now, all of a sudden, after all this is happening, and now that we've been in court and everything, I'm the perpetrator. And he never hurt me. He only took plea deals on all of his charges that he was guilty for because it was in his best interest.
Look at my charge. I got like 4 charges for hitting bitches.
But I'm pretty sure that I have all of these text messages that I saved and things that he said over the past couple of years because I have Google Photos, and Google Photos just is magic and saves everything, even if you don't mean to, and that's why I have all this stuff. So let me just repeat that again. She just does not lay on her back and let herself get abused. He literally said that he was abusing me. He literally just admitted that it was abuse. in that text message. So I don't know how everybody's gonna sit here and be like, he never abused her, he never touched her, he only took plea deals because it was in his best interest and all of this stuff, when not only do I have pictures of proof of text messages, I have Axon videos of marks all over my body, and I still have to fight for validation. Do you see how ridiculous this is? And even when the cops did come, they just were like, whatever, brushed it off like it wasn't a big deal because Flagler County thinks that domestic violence is a joke and has no resources and has nobody educated besides the very few victim advocates here who have actually done a very good job helping me with my case. But there's not enough. So everybody who thinks that I'm this horrible person, you can go ahead and continue to think that, but there's proof right here saying literally what happened, and that's exactly what happened, and he said it. And he can say whatever he wants now because we just went to court and all that, and he's trying to make himself look good. But that's what he said in private because he thought that no one else was going to see but his mom. Also, how sick and manipulative do you have to be in order to say that you deleted your conversation with your own son because you did not want to have proof in your messages that you knew that he was an abuser and you did nothing about it? You just said you didn't want proof that you knew. I'm like 3 months pregnant. He kept locking me out of the house in the cold, first of all. The day he locked me out of the house, I was trying to get in the fucking window. He finally let me in the window. And he was like, I need you to have an abortion. I can't have a kid with someone as much of a loser as you. And if you don't get an abortion, then I'm going to punch you in the stomach until the baby dies. And then he walked out of the room and came back in the room. And he's like, I can't believe that my baby's in there and we're going to have a baby and I'm so excited, blah, blah. And it's like, you just told me. What? He bought this scooter because his car was broken. He bought this scooter, would take me on the scooter everywhere, and I tried to sit in someone's car because I wanted a regular seat that I could, like, sit back in because you're on the scooter like this the whole time, and my stomach is, like, fat. So I sat in the car, well, it was a lifted truck, actually, and he pulled me out of the truck and threw me onto the ground. I'm fucking 3 months pregnant. And he left me there until the lights shut off, and I had to walk by myself after the lights shut off, crying from the skate park like 2 miles down the road to McDonald's. I sat in McDonald's and I was picking the mulch off my jacket. I told him that I was there and to come get me because I didn't have a ride anywhere. He came in with the dude that owned the truck and like they were laughing at me because I was picking mulch off the jacket. He got mad at me because I wanted to go to the thrift store to get clothes, and he kicked me out of the car and started screaming at me in front of everybody outside the fucking thrift store. And everybody was, like, asking me if I was okay. Like, he was like, you dumb bitch, I'm gonna beat the fucking shit out of you. So I started running away, and I ran to the back of the building, and I was texting him, and then my phone died. So I went to KFC, and I had people at KFC lend me their phone so I could call him and tell him to come fucking pick me up. And then I was 4 months pregnant. I wanted to go to the Death Museum in St. Augustine. My maps took him the long way to get to St. George Street, so he got mad and told me that I was a loser. And he couldn't believe me going with me to to a fucking museum. That's what losers do and whatever. And he was like screaming at me like, where the fuck do I park? Where the fuck do I park? Like, so bad. And he got mad at me because I didn't know where to fucking park because I had never been there. He told me to get out, so I went to get out, and he pulled me back in the car by my hair and was like, you dumb bitch, tell me where the fuck to park. And I was like, I don't know, let me go. So he lets me go, and I start walking away, and all these people are following me, asking me if I'm okay, do I need help, do I need this, that, and I'm like, yes, I'm fine, like, just leave me alone. So I go sit in the courtyard thing, and I cry, and he finds me over there and literally rips my bag out of my hand, breaks both the handles off, and flings it, and like throws all of my clothes and everything in the bag all over, and then walks away. And I had to get on the ground and pick up all of my stuff and put it back in my bag, and I had to carry my bag like this because there were no handles on it anymore. And then he sent me a picture of him setting my clothes on fire, and like the background was like close to where I was so I could see where he was at, and I went over there to talk to him, and he started chasing me and screaming at me, and like people were yelling at him back because we were walking through like a crowd of people, and he's screaming at me, and people are like, don't talk to her like that, you're a piece of shit, like screaming. He's like, you want to fight, bro? You want to fight about it? And like we're walking toward this information center, and he's telling me that I'm ugly because I'm pregnant and my toenails grow too fast because he has a foot fetish, and he said that my face was too fat, and I was just a disgrace and like all of this stuff, and I just was crying and crying, and I went into the fucking bathroom, the women's bathroom, and he followed me in there. There was a lot of girls in there, and everyone was screaming at him, and somebody called the police, and I had to get escorted out by 2 security guards, and my friend had to come pick me up. And then that day, after I left, he started texting me saying, I miss you, I need you, princess baby, come home, on literally every social media account that he could possibly text me off of. I didn't respond. The next day I was like, fuck this, like, I'm leaving you, bro, like, I'm not doing this shit. The next day I went to the beach with my girlfriend, and he started saying that he hired group home kids to come kill me and to come destroy my car. The girl that I was with, her boyfriend wanted to fight somebody. So I was like, I have somebody that'll fight you, that you can fight or whatever. And they met up at this park, and they weren't going to fight because I had to hide because I knew that dude was just going to try to come pick me up and leave. And I wasn't having that. So I hid around the corner, and the one dude was like, I'm not fighting you. And he was like, I'm not fighting you if Kayla's not here. So they were just not going to fight. But then my ex ran up on the other guy's girlfriend, my friend that I was hanging out with. He like pretended he was gonna hit her or something. So then her boyfriend like freaked out and like ran up behind him and started like choking him. And he choked him for so long that he passed out. Like, he literally passed out, was unconscious on the ground. And I'm not sure what happened because I didn't see, but I was told that he was like picked up and kneed in the face like 4 times. Let me just mention this. He showed up with like 8 people in the car, and like nobody even helped him because all those people were not even his friends. Like, he got back in his car after he somehow like woke up and started driving, and I thought he was coming after us. Apparently he didn't even know which way we went after I met back up with them when we were going back to their house. But he like swerved around the corner, he hit somebody's mailbox, and then I guess he saw the girl's boyfriend who had choked him out, and he tried to hit him with his car. He hit his knee, and the dude that he hit threw a hammer at his windshield and like smashed the corner of his windshield. I saw all that happen, and then when I saw that happen, he was still like at the corner, and I was a little bit further down the road, and I ran up on the side of someone's house, and like that was scary because I thought he was gonna pick me up and like beat me up because I was with that guy. So then the next day at like 8 o'clock in the morning, I get a call, and it's from my ex, and he's like trying to say stuff. I can barely understand what he's saying because his jaw is broken. Like, his jaw was so messed up, his whole side. He calls me, and he's like, I can barely talk, and I'm so scared because I have to go to the hospital, and like freaking the fuck out. And he's like crying, and he's like, please come with me to the hospital, I need you. I wasn't gonna go. Somebody brought him there, and then after work I decided that I was just gonna go see like what the situation was, and it was pretty bad. His jaw was completely sideways, he was bleeding from his mouth, and they told him that he had to go to a specialist because his entire like jawline was shattered with his teeth, and they couldn't tell which bone was which. He told me that he had to leave. He like signed himself out because he was freaking out, he was tweaking. And he was like, they were going to know that I was on meth and my blood pressure was high. So they were like telling me that I couldn't leave, and they were going to send me to prison. And I was like, bro, you're tripping. Like, nobody's sending you to prison. They don't care. I forgot to mention that there was this thing that we were doing for a while where he would be driving around to different Walmarts, and we would be in the car with like 2 other people, like his best friend and like a group home kid that his best friend brought with him because he was a group home kid also. We would drive to different fucking Walmarts, and they would steal shit and then come out, and then someone else with an ID would go in there and return it, and we would get like gift cards, and we would spend it on gas to go to a different Walmart and do that. So we would do that every single day, and like we would go to like different Walmarts like all across fucking Florida. It was ridiculous. So we went to Orlando, and we were staying at a hotel in Orlando, and his jaw was still broken as fuck and like really messed up. And I was talking to his friend who was in the back seat when he went inside, and I was 4 months pregnant, by the way. He got mad and told me to get the fuck out of the car, so I went in the back, and I was going to grab my stuff, and he stood like right next to me, and while I was getting my stuff, and I turned around, and he went like this, and natural like instinct, you're gonna block your face. So he went like this, and I went like that to block his hand because I thought he was going to hit me. I hit him in the fucking jaw. And I knew immediately that it was over. I turned around to grab my shit, and he was just right in the back of my head. I fell into the car and was just screaming. And The dude literally watched it happen, and to this day, like, he fucking saw that shit, and, like, he's still friends with him, and it's just, like, how the fuck, like, you watched that shit happen, and I'm sitting in the car, like, screaming, like, crying, and I get out, I'm, like, disoriented, because he hit me so fucking hard, and I grabbed my bag, and I fell in the grass, and he took orange crushed soda out of his trunk, and fucking threw it at me, and I was covered in orange crushed soda, with my bag full of all of my shit to stay at the hotel, and I got up, and I walked away in the streets of Orlando and have no idea where the fuck I'm going. And I just was walking down the road, 4 months pregnant. A couple hours later, he came and picked me up, and then we went and stole a bunch of shit 3 times in a row from the same place, because that was what he was on. That's what we were doing then, I guess. And then we came back to the fucking hotel. He was up all fucking night, and I think he was still doing meth. And I didn't know. I thought we were done. Like, I thought we were done with that. At 7 o'clock in the morning, he's trying to touch me after he just left me and threw soda at me and did all of that shit. And I was like, no, like, I'm not doing this. So he got mad and was like, sleep on the floor. And I was like, okay. So I laid on the floor at this nasty hotel. He got mad that I laid on the floor instead of just doing what he wanted. So he grabbed my bag of stuff and started stomping on it. Like, he wasn't even just stomping on it. He was literally jumping on my bag. Everything in my bag was destroyed. He took all of my jewelry off of the counter and just started doing this and breaking everything. And then he kicked me out, and I sat on the bench outside. I was in my pajamas. I had no makeup on. I was going through my bag and throwing away all of my makeup. All my makeup was exploded. I threw away all of my stuff. I literally only really had clothes left. Even my glasses. My glasses were in there, and they were in the case. Can y'all see that? They literally, like, they don't fit me anymore. But that's how hard he jumped on my bag. Like, it literally flattened my glasses. I was outside. He told me that someone was going to call the cops on me, so I came back inside. And then I came back inside, and I was sitting on a chair, and I was crying, and he took a fucking pillow, like a decorative pillow, and flung it at my face. Like, who? I don't understand. Like, who the fuck does this shit? I ended up leaving again, and I walked away, and I was, like, just walking down the road again. And he's like, I'm leaving Orlando and going back home, so if you want to ride, you might want to come. And I was like, okay, and I went.
Or if you get out of the car and you try and walk away, I'm going to walk over there and I'm going to pick you up. And I'm going to carry you into Taco Bell. And if the cops come, I'm going to lay the cop out as hard as I fucking can. And I'm going to get in the car and I'm going to run.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, Kayla. You don't have a choice.
No, why are you copying what I'm saying? I said it doesn't matter.
You're here and there's nothing you can do about it. You're dumb as shit.
There's actually a lot I can do about it.
No, like, yes, you could get up, Kayla. You could get out of the car and you could not
no,
go and talk
I think
about it. You could walk
you
the other
forget.
way.
I think
But
you forget
you're done,
that I'm
bro.
not
You're done.
fucking like that. You could pretend. You could just pretend that you're being nice, and you could just pretend that it's not like that.
You could too.
And
you
then
could pretend that you like
yeah,
me
but guess
anyway.
what? You're not pretending, so why the fuck would I even try to pretend? Just threw my shoe in the fucking road. Go get my fucking shoe. That's not on my foot.
Like that wasn't good enough.
That's
bitch?
not on my foot. That's not on my foot. I can't move until it's on my foot.
Okay. Did I ever tell you I fucking hate you?
Have I ever told you I fucking hate you and I want absolutely nothing to do with you or your existence or anything?
Did I hear your shoe?
Shoe. Put the shoe on my fucking foot.
I already did that so I can touch you.
So he was hanging out with all those shit people again in May, and I found out the next day that he went to someone's house that I didn't want him to go to, and he doing all that bad shit again. So May 7th of 2018 is the day that I am getting my ultrasound done to see the gender of the baby. I didn't want him to come because all of that stuff just happened. The St. Augustine thing, the Orlando thing, like his jaw broken. I was just like, bro, I'd rather my family be there than you because my family's always going to be there and you're not. And he ended up finding out and he got so fucking pissed. And I was so fucking upset. He started posting pictures of my feet that he wanted from like months and months ago. Like he has a foot fetish, so he started posting pictures of my feet and saying, you sending me these isn't gonna make me want you back or something, even though I wasn't sending them to him and I wasn't even trying to get back with him. We weren't even like not together. So I was just like, what the fuck. He posted a picture of me naked with bondage on and like posted a video. I'm gonna put it on here. He posted a video. I was just over it. He threatened to kill me again and I was like, fuck this. So he actually started threatening this girl over Instagram that I knew, and I was talking to her about what was going on. He threatened to kill her and said her family only had 2 weeks to live. So she called the cops, and then I was telling her that I wanted to die because my nudes were on the internet. The cops had to do a welfare check on me, so they came to my house, and then I told them what happened because that shit wasn't okay. While the cop was there at my house, he called me, and I let my dad answer, and he said that he was coming to my house to throw Molotovs in my windows and to break my windows on my car and pop my tires, and he threatened to kill the police. He said he was going to kill any Leo that came to his door, and he doesn't open doors for the cops, and just a bunch of fucking shit.
Google my name. Look at my charge. I got like 4 charges for hitting bitches. I will whack you I will hit a 5-year-old kid. I will hit a 50-year-old man. I will hit I don't care. I will hit an old lady. If you try me, you're gonna get smoked. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm fucked. Tell me I shouldn't do that shit. Hit bitches. None of that shit. Text me. I'm coming for your daughter. Slaughter your daughter, bitch. I will rape your daughter. Message me. I dare you message me.
Really?
Give me an address, pussy ass bitch. Give me an address. You're gonna get shot.
I'm gonna get shot.
Where are you? Give me an address, pussy ass bitch. Give me the address. I'm gonna come with like 6 things we all got strapped. Give me the address. You're fucking scared.
Really?
You're fucking dead. You're a fucking puss ass cop. I will kill
Listen.
any Leo.
You'll kill any Leo.
Fuck you. Yeah, you better have us on video too. Try to bring me to court. Tell him I have a knock on my door. I'll shoot him on site. On site, bitch.
Who are you gonna shoot?
I will shoot you on site.
Who are you gonna shoot?
I will shoot you in the face on fucking
Really?
site.
Who else? Yeah, who else you gonna shoot?
Come to my house. I will shoot you on site, you puss ass bitch. You ain't a threat. I've been on top. You ain't talking shit.
Really?
You are dead. I swear to God. Call your family and tell them you love them goodbye. Kill yourself, bitch.
Yeah, keep
If you
talking.
don't, if I get back in Palm Coast and you aren't fucking dead on Flagler Lodge suicide, I'm coming for you. You're
Really?
gone.
Okay.
Yes, nigga.
Really?
And you ain't even dead no more. You ain't a threat. You got fired from the fucking police department because you're a bitch.
Hey.
You're a piece of
Really? Well,
shit.
I don't know where you get.
Your fucking nose. I'll fucking eat it, bitch. I'll spit that shit back into your face. You ain't shit.
Really?
You're the fucking thing I ever met in my life. You called to my house. The cops have been looking for me. They've been knocking on my door. They can't find me. I'm above all y'all. Try me, pussy. You ain't got shit.
Really?
I'm above you.
What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna stand 3 feet above you on a podium and then shoot you in the fucking skull, bitch. You're done. You're fucking done.
I'm done.
You're fucking done. You're
Yep.
fucking pussy.
He threatened. He said any cop that comes to his house, he's shooting him. Just so you know.
So I hacked into his entire email and Google Photos and everything, and I deleted all of the pictures of me, and I deleted his entire Instagram account, and I factory reset his whole phone. So he was freaking out all night thinking that the cops were hacking into his stuff. His car ended up breaking down while he was in Daytona, so he never showed up. The cops showed up right after he left, and his mom sent him a message saying that there were cops with dogs surrounding the house, and they were coming to pick him up for some reason, and she didn't know why. When he ended up going back home, he went to jail. When he went to jail, it was like a complete just relief. I didn't have to worry about somebody trying to kill me or my family, or worrying about if I'm going to walk outside and my car is going to be destroyed. Part of me was like, I'm so glad that he's in jail, but still at the same time, I was in the cycle of domestic violence. So I was like, oh my God, how could I possibly ever live without this person, especially now that I have his kid in my stomach. I'm just going to continue on with all the same things that I've been doing because I've become a shadow of him and I don't know how to be my own person anymore. So I just kept hanging out with all of the people that him and I would hang out with, and I was going out all the time. Eventually, around 9.5 months, I think it was, I was kind of immobilized at that point. It was too much work for me to get up and do anything, so I just started staying home for a while. I didn't really think I had that much of a problem, like, dealing with everything that was happening, but it was because it hadn't hit me yet. Reality hadn't set in about having a baby and being by myself. So the day comes, August 21st at 2 o'clock in the morning, I start having contractions. That entire day, I spent having contractions up until 11:42 when I had her. Immediately when I had her, I was like, what the heck is this? Like, I don't know how to deal with a baby. And they put her on my chest, and I just looked at her and I was like, what do I do with this? Like, it was just so weird to me. It was just like, it was inside of me for all that time, and I made it, but like, it was just still like a foreign object, and I was like, what is this? It still really hadn't set in that I just had a baby. I hadn't processed any of the stuff that I had been through, even up until that point. So I was at the hospital for like 3 days because she had jaundice. They were doing tests on her and everything, and they were making sure that I was doing okay. When they sent us home, that was when it kicked in. The fact that I had a baby with an abusive man that would never love me, and I was alone, and I was never gonna have a family, and I was never gonna have anything normal. And that was all I fucking wanted. All of those thoughts started coming in all the time, and especially when the baby would be up every 2 hours and I wasn't sleeping, it just made it so much worse. Like, I don't know what exactly happened. I know I had postpartum, but I feel like this was so much worse than postpartum, because not only was it just postpartum depression, but on top of that, I was all of a sudden at once I was dealing with 2 years of suppressed trauma, and it just hit me like a stone wall. Like, it was just so bad. I would try to fall asleep, and I would fall asleep after all these thoughts going through my head and like freaking out. I would finally fall asleep, and then the baby would start crying as soon as I fell asleep, and I would wake up and I would see her, and I would see his face, and I would get flashbacks over and over, and it was just a repeating cycle because she would wake up every 2 hours and I had to feed her. So I was just out of it, completely out of it, delusional, I'd even say. I don't even remember like most of that time. I just know that when I got home and I was dealing with all that, I was having cold sweats and like nightmares, but I would wake up freaking out and not remember what I was even dreaming about. And at that point, I was so sad. I had never felt a sadness like that before, and I wanted nothing to do with her. I really didn't. I didn't want to have this baby because it just reminded me of all of the stuff that had happened. It was just such a bad feeling. I can't even explain it. It was just horrible, and I felt bad because I knew that it wasn't her fault and she had nothing to do with it, but at the same time it was like, this is a product of that. So I didn't want to deal with it, and honestly, I wanted to die. Like, I didn't know how to even process any of it. So I started hanging out with bad people again, and I started doing drugs again. At this point, I did it like only a few times because the come down on top of my postpartum, on top of my traumas, the come down was so bad. I literally twice almost killed myself. I had to have somebody come home with me, because if I did not, and I sat in my bed and I heard the birds chirping outside at 8 o'clock in the morning, I was gonna kill myself. I did not know what to do at that point. I was so messed up and so lost, and like, I just didn't even know how to feel anymore. After a while, probably in December of 2018 into January of 2019, I kind of was like, no, like, reality was kind of setting in, and I was like coming to terms with it. But my mom didn't understand what was going on. I didn't tell her either, so I can't really blame her, but she didn't understand any of the things I was going through. My dad didn't know what I was going through because I was embarrassed and I thought there was something wrong with me and I didn't want to tell anybody. In January, I stopped hanging out with all the people that were like on the west side of this town doing all the bad stuff, and I started trying to stay straight a little bit more than I was because I was doing really bad. Throughout this whole time period, my baby's dad's mom was texting me and asking if she could bring her family and come see the baby, and I was like freaking out. I didn't know what to tell her. I didn't know what to say because I didn't know if I even wanted him involved in the baby's life anymore after all of that stuff that had just happened. Because he threatened to kill me and the baby, and he was abusive as fuck the entire time I had even been with him. So I didn't want her to even really be involved at first, but then about 2 months after I had her, I texted her and she was offering to help me and to babysit and to do all these things that my parents weren't doing for me. I confided in her and I felt like I could trust her, and it was a very weak point for me because I didn't have anybody that I felt like I could talk to. So I didn't think that she was trying to use me to get to the baby. I thought that we were actually going to be cool and that we could like be a family and I would feel welcome somewhere. They started doing video chats with the baby to her dad while he was in jail, and his mom was telling me that he was doing really good and he was like reading the Bible and like just a bunch of dumb shit that like didn't really seem realistic but sounded good, and I wanted to believe it so bad. Eventually, he got out when she was 6 months old in February. I immediately was just excited and thought that we could be a family, and it was because his mom said he was doing so well and everything, and like the baby changed him. That was what I was hoping. I was like, if having a child does not change this man, nothing will. And I thought that was my last of having a family. I went over, I met him in the backyard, and we just hung out, and he met the baby, and we took pictures together, and everything was like exactly what I wanted for like, I don't know, like a month maybe. And then it just went to shit again. Somebody called DCF and said that they were worried about me bringing the baby to his house because he's known to be violent, and it was also alleged that I picked her up by her neck or something and I was neglecting her. At this point, I didn't know how DCF worked, so I immediately was just like scared that she was going to get taken away from me. And I was talking to her dad about it, and he was like, well, if you give me some sort of custody over her, then she can't get taken away from both of us. And I was like, oh, sounds like a good idea. Because at this point, nothing was really going on that was showing any red flags yet. And no, I wasn't scared that they were going to take her away because I thought they were going to catch me doing something wrong. I did not pick her up by her head. But yeah, I have no reason to lie about it. Like, I did leave her crying. I was a single mom by myself, nobody helping me, overwhelmed. When I put her to bed, that was where she was staying until she took a nap. And sometimes during the day, if she would sit there and stare at me and cry, I would sit there and stare at her and cry too, because I was freaking the fuck out. And this was all before when I was like not sleeping and I was delusional. It was just a really bad time. All of that stuff did get better with time though. When she got older, she started being less needy and I started being able to have a little bit of me time every day. Things got a lot better and I'm so thankful. His mom heard the idea, liked the idea, went and got the paperwork, filled it out, and just had me sign it. And then we went to the courthouse and filed it. And then I guess that was the point where he was like, now I have some leverage again. Now I can do what I want to do. So he told me that I couldn't record a song with this guy because he was Egyptian and he wasn't white and his music was gay and just a bunch of shit. He kept going on and on and on about it. And I was like upset and like, you're not allowed to tell me what to do. Like, I thought we'd been over this. So he was mad because I didn't want him to tell me what to do, and he dumped water in my plate of food, and I slapped him in the face, and he now is saying that I punched him in the face, and I didn't even have a reason to. I get blamed for shit that I didn't fucking do. He dumped water in my food after telling me that I couldn't do something with somebody, so I slapped him. After that, I left, and then I came back the next day because he said he was sorry and all that. Everything was good again for a couple days, and then he threatened to kill my uncle because I said that he offered me a place to live that wasn't with my dad, and me and my dad were not getting along at the time because I was talking to my baby's father. So he told me that I couldn't live with my uncle or he was going to shoot him in the head. But he told me that I wasn't allowed to live with my dad or he was going to kill me and the baby, which it was just endless. I'm going to kill everybody type shit. And then another day he locked me in the bathroom with him and said that I wasn't allowed to leave the bathroom unless I handed him my necklace that I was wearing because I got it from some other guy. We started arguing about it and I was like, no, like, I'm not going to give you my necklace. And he was like, well, if we keep arguing and the cops get called, I'm going to beat the absolute shit out of you until you're almost dead so that I actually have a reason for them to take me to prison. There was one particular incident that really, really shook me when he got out of jail. We were laying in bed, and I had previously asked him if he remembered throwing me onto the floor by my hair back in 2016. At this point, I knew it happened. Like, there's no convincing me, even though he tried to convince me that it didn't happen for the past 4 years. Every time I asked him, he would say that he never did that.
I just forgot what I lied to you, so I know I need to keep lying. I don't know what you're talking about.
So you remember hitting my hair and throwing me onto the floor?
No.
Yeah, you do.
Here, come here, give me a hug.
Hold on,
Give me
no.
one hug. Or did you just press record on your phone already? You're so slimy. I know you too well. I don't know what you're talking about. I've never hurt you ever. Like you're.
I asked him again, and he said, no, that never happened. And I said, listen, I know that if you tell somebody something enough times that they'll start to believe it. And instead of being like, you're crazy, or like, what the fuck are you talking about? He started laughing and saying, oh, so you're catching on now. That shit shook the fuck out of me because he had been doing that to me and I didn't even know. And then that point, it was just like, holy fuck. Like, it just snapped, like a light went on in my head and I was like, everything has been a lie. There was one time I was staying over there. His parents were leaving for a week because they were going on a trip somewhere. They had 2 dogs, and I was cleaning their blankets because their blankets were absolutely disgusting, and they had, like, poop and pee in them, so I put them in the bathtub, I was cleaning them, and I heard banging, but I didn't know what it was, and I didn't really think to go look because, like, I had the baby in the room with me, and it was whatever. I thought maybe dude was just, like, working on something. I go to put the blankets outside to dry them off, and I see the dog laying out there, and he's just, like, sitting there, and he looks super sad, and he, like, he's trying to stand up, and he can't, and I was, like, wondering, like, what the fuck the dog was doing outside. So I come back in, I close the sliding glass door, and dude comes out from the kitchen, and he's like, I think I might have broke the dog's leg. And I was like, what do you mean you think you might have broke it? And he was like, he knows that he's not supposed to be in here. So I was trying to kick him out, and he wouldn't listen, so I beat the shit out of him with the fan. So I picked him up, and I threw him outside. And I was like, okay. And then I was thinking about it, and I remembered, like, the week before that, his mom was laughing and saying that he keeps asking me if he can take the dogs out in the backyard and beat them with a shovel. Like, what the... And then, like, a couple months later, both of the dogs, both of them died within a month of each other. So I don't know if that's just a coincidence, but I totally think that's super weird. And I told his mom about it because when they came back from their trip, they were like, why is your brother's room all messed up? And he was like, oh, I don't know. And then, like, the next day I told her, I was like, bro, the room is messed up because your son beat the fuck out of the dog in that room and threw him outside and said he thought he broke his leg. She was like, oh, I figured he did that. And then she just ignored the whole thing and was like, can the baby come over? And I was like, the baby's just as innocent as the dog. And he beat the shit out of the dog. So, like, why? I'm a little nervous now, and I didn't want to say anything, but I was like, bro, this is why I don't think I want her to go over there. We were laying in bed one day, and I was trying to record him saying it, but my phone, the back camera was broken, so there's no sound to the video. But I would have had a video of him saying that if I ever got with another man that he was going to kill me. It was just stuff all the time after that. And I remember sitting in my car a lot of the times and just crying and being like, this can't be happening again. It can't be happening again. He wanted water and I didn't want to go get it. So he went and got it. And when he came back, I asked him for a sip and he got mad and told me no and started elbowing me and told me to leave. So I got up and I left with my daughter. And he came outside and he started punching my window and he went up to his house and grabbed an empty chlorine bottle out of the trash can and threw it at my car. I also forgot to mention that one of the times that we were fighting and I went outside, I was waiting for his mom to get the baby ready to go, and I walked up to the door because they were taking forever and I didn't know what was going on, and I heard his mom yelling at him saying, if you do not fight for 50% of the custody, then you're not allowed to live here. And that was at the point that I realized that she was not on my side. So I sat in the car and I was like, this can't be happening again. And I was like, what do I do? Because he's abusing me. It's kind of in front of her, but not really because she's normally with his mom. And he's not really hurting her, but I don't know if it's just not, he's just not hurting her yet. So I was just like very conflicted. I thought that him being involved in her life would be a positive thing after he got out of jail for both of them, because she would have a dad and he would have a reason to not do bad stuff. I started realizing even more of a problem when it became a hassle for him to change her diaper or for him to feed her or for him to just want to see her. He would like have her over there, but then he would like hand her off to his mom all the time. And like started escalating to the point where like he started telling me that if I didn't come back when I was out doing something while she was there, that he was going to set her out front and leave her at the doorstep, and if I came or if I didn't, it didn't matter, she was outside. After that, I told him that we were done, and he made a Tinder account, and he posted a picture of him and the baby in the bathtub naked as the profile picture. The bio was just disgusting. I'll post a picture of it. That was when I decided that I was not talking to him anymore, and I was not going to let him see my daughter anymore, because that was disgusting, and I was absolutely just repulsed by it. And that was when I was like, yeah, he's going to start hurting her too, because he just advertised her on a dating website and said that. I wanted to make sure that I was doing the right thing, and I regretted it because I was trying to do the right thing in the first place by allowing him to like see her, and then I regretted it immediately because then I had the 50-50 thing that I had to fight. So then we started going to court. So I revoked everything that I said about the 50-50 thing, and we started going to court. I got myself a lawyer, and his mom got him a lawyer. I did all this shit by myself, let me just say. I went and got a lawyer. I talked to my lawyer. I provided him everything. Everything that he had going on his side, his mom was doing for him. It just pissed me off because his mom was finding lawyers. His mom was coming up with all these stories. His mom was coming up with this whole plan. I was trying to make sure that my daughter was in a good situation, and that was all I wanted in the first place, and it just did not end up working out that way. I forgot to mention that his mom also started texting my dad and telling my dad, who has witnessed 90% of the ththings that happened and was in the Axon videos when I had marks all over my body and the cops were taking pictures, that I abused her son, and he did nothing. 100-pound iron deficient me hurting in any type of way a grown ass 160-pound man? How unrealistic is that? In the middle of all of this court stuff, his mom made a GoFundMe trying to get money to pay for their court fees, and the entire GoFundMe was just straight lies to try to get people to give them money so that he can have the baby. And she says, many of you know my son had a daughter who we've been helping raise since her birth in August of 2018, which is not true. I did not let her see the baby until the baby was 2 months old already, because I was scared. She says, sadly and unexpectedly in August of 2019, the day after her first birthday, she was kidnapped from us by her mother, who had no interest in taking care of her for the first year of her life. I kidnapped my own kid that I have 100% rights over? What the fuck? She said that I took the baby away out of spite of me and him breaking up. We are worried something might happen to her, especially because the mother admittedly has continued her meth use after the baby's birth and had DCF filed on her in the past for abusing and neglecting the baby. Which, when DCF was involved, they came to her house and she defended me, and she told them that I've always been fine with her. She's never seen me have an issue, and she knows that I care about the baby. So now all of a sudden, because it's going to be in her favor, she's going to make up stories. Yeah. Anyway. She says she has also been leaving her with her dad, who she accused of being sexually inappropriate with the baby in the past, while she continues to run around and party. These are some pretty bold accusations for having no proof. It's just disgusting what people can do when they want something bad enough. Repulsive. Anyway, she's admitted to meth use around the baby, as well as abuse and neglect. I don't know where she gets that I ever admitted to any of that, because I have not ever, because that did not happen. Yet she is still in her legal care until the judge gives her dad temporary custody. The mother has a free community lawyer because she refuses to work and income qualified, while her dad works 7 days a week and has spent every dime on his lawyer. I did not have a job because I wanted a free community lawyer. I don't have a job because I need a babysitter to take care of my daughter while I'm working. That's not going to charge me the same amount that I'm working for to take care of her, which is literally almost impossible at this point. Anyway, so she says, our system is so broken. They will leave a child in an unsafe environment unless the other parent has the money to fight. We are reaching out to our family and friends to ask for help to get the baby home safe where she belongs. The baby is home safe in my home where she belongs, where she has been her entire life. So, thank you. He's sitting in front of me in court and lying about everything and saying that I'm a liar, and I'm trying so hard not to cry and not to be triggered. And he was saying that I was a terrible girlfriend because I didn't let him touch me. When this last time when we were back together again, it wasn't because I wanted to be with him. It wasn't because I liked him. It was because I wanted my daughter to have a dad and I wanted to have a family. And he always tried to touch me, but like I said previous, he always touched me when I said no and said mean things to me and never made me feel good. So like, why would I want him to touch me? That he broke up with me. Meanwhile, I have proof of phone calls weeks after. He was calling me every day for like 2 weeks, multiple times a day. Like, hi, baby girl, how are you doing today? Love you, miss you. And I'd just be like, bro, I don't want to talk to you. Like, I tell you every time you call me, like, you can act like everything's okay, just like you've been doing for the past like 3 years, but I'm not pretending anymore. And that's it. And eventually, I guess he just got the hint and he stopped talking to me after that. I tried so hard to make it work, even though I didn't even want to be with him anymore after he had gotten out of jail. I just wanted our family, because that was the plan for like 4 years at this point. So I just got the email back from the courthouse saying what I have to do now. And apparently I have to sign up to this fucking talking parents thing and talk to the man who fucking told me he was gonna punch me in the stomach until my daughter fucking died because I was a loser. And left me on the side of the road and beat me up every single fucking day of my life. And locked me in a room. But what the fuck am I gonna do about it? We're binded by law. The judge says, parties had began their relationship when they were both in high school. The relationship was marred by domestic abuse directed toward the mother from the father in various forms. The abuse culminated into the father being convicted of the crime, written threats to kill or do bodily injury. The father offered testimony seeking to prove that his abusive behavior was a product of his drug addiction, and since his release has been sober, and as a result he is a proper parent. He instead spent much of his time testifying that the mother was a deceitful person, had hurt his feelings since the release, and attempted to excuse his behavior. The father has been convicted of previously, among other crimes, for a violation of injunction, and therefore the court is reluctant to trust that he will carefully follow a time-sharing order. The father has been consistently demanding to the point of abuse while communicating with the mother. He is unlikely to be reasonable with the mother, nor has any measurable ability to place the needs of the child before his own. Yet, she's allowing her to go over there. The parties are unable to communicate effectively with each other and lack the skills to parent independently or co-parent at this time. The child has lived the majority of her life with the mother in a stable home. The father is morally unfit. His abuse of the mother may have been transformed from physical to more emotional, but it continues beyond his incarceration. He lacks insight, empathy, and sympathy, and may be ordered to undergo additional mental health evaluations. Both parents suffer mental health issues. This favors neither parent. The mother has been diagnosed with PTSD and has lingering addiction problems. I don't have an addiction problem. I don't understand how they convinced him of that. It has already been stated that the mother has been brutally abused by the father. The father lacks insight into the effects of this behavior. But let's put the baby with him. And I get an email that says that he wants to talk to me through talking parents. I don't want to co-parent. I don't want to talk to the man who fucking abused me and ruined my life. I tried to get away. I wanted to get away. Anybody who has ever seen just that video alone.
I will hit a 5-year-old kid coming for your daughter. Slaughter your daughter, bitch. I will rape your daughter.
Has said nobody in their right mind would ever allow him to have custody of the baby. So many people have said that no judge would ever put a baby in his hands. And that's what I thought too. That video was shown in court, along with so many other things that he has said and things that he has done. This is the justice system in Flagler County. So not only is the baby subjected to going over there and being with him all the time, but now, on top of that mess, I am subjected to stay in touch and talk to the man who abused me for the rest of 17 years. Even in the final judgment, it literally says right here, The father has been consistently demanding to the point of abuse while communicating with the mother. So why is he making us communicate at all? It literally says he is unlikely to be reasonable with the mother, nor has any measurable ability to place the needs of the child before his own. The parties are unable to communicate effectively with each other and lack the skills to co-parent at this time. The father is morally unfit. His abuse of the mother may have transformed from physical to more emotional, but it continues beyond his incarceration. So instead of keeping them separated and sparing the mother any more heartache and hurt, we're gonna force her to hand over her child to the man that abused her, and not only abused her, but has threatened on multiple occasions to kill her, to kill the baby, and to punch her in the stomach until the baby died. I cannot even comprehend. He's gonna always know where I live. He's gonna always know where my car is. He's already destroyed my cars. He's already threatened to throw Molotovs in my windows and kill me and kill my dad and kill my family. And now I'm gonna be stuck with him, knowing where I reside and having my baby all the time. So after everything that he's already done, not even just the threats, but all the charges for physical abuse, he's being rewarded with the baby that he threatened to murder on multiple occasions. And not only just that, I'm stressed out now because this man has told me on multiple occasions throughout our relationship that if I ever tried to move on, he was always going to find out where I was at, he was always going to find out where I lived, and he was going to break into my house, be in my closet, and be watching me. And he also told me that if he ever saw me with another man in my house, that he was going to kill the both of us. And I have really, really bad PTSD. I literally get triggers from the smallest things, and now that I'm in the middle of trying to recover, it's been 6 months since I've had to talk to him. I'm trying to recover and move on with my life, and I have to talk to him on the stupid Talking Parents website. If anything happens to that baby, whose hand is it going to be on? Is it going to be on mine because I didn't protect her, or is it going to be on Flagler County? And this is the sad truth of the modern day justice system. Justice is served.